call the meeting to order. Okay, we'll start with the roll call.
Commissioner Hostetler.
Here.
Commissioner Holtverse. Commissioner Cadle.
Here.
Commissioner Casala Comerford. Commissioner Leachman.
Here.
Commissioner Leanders.
Here.
Commissioner Weisar.
Here.
Oh, here. We approve the minutes. Vice
Okay.
Chair.
Everybody got a copy of the minutes? So I have a motion to approve them for the 8/14/2018 regular meeting.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Next, we're going to go to the new business for the election of the officers.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Very simple procedure. So we're going to first start off with the nomination of the chair, and then following that, then the chair will move forward with nominations for a vice chair. So at this time, if there is anyone who would like to nominate themselves or be nominated as chair, now would be the time to do that. Is anybody interested in that position?
Told you I'm staying out of it.
I nominate Ms. Hostetler for the chair, but she's staying out of it, so I don't know if she wants it or not.
I'm just not going to nominate.
Okay, she doesn't want to nominate. I'm nominating Ms. Hostetler. I nominate and move to elect Terry Hostetler as Human Relations Commission Chair.
I second the motion.
Motion is seconded. Is there anyone else interested in being the chair? Hearing none, I would suggest that this be made to a vote, and it should probably be a roll call vote.
Okay. Commissioner Cadle.
Aye.
Commissioner Weisar.
Aye.
Commissioner Leanders.
Aye.
Commissioner Leachman.
Nomination passes. Congratulations, you are the new chair.
Okay, thank you.
Please make your first action of business to nominate a vice chair.
Okay, I nominate and move to elect Commissioner Cadle as the Human Relations Commission Vice Chair.
Do you accept?
I accept.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Okay, let's do a roll call vote for vice chair.
Commissioner Hostetler.
Aye.
Commissioner Leanders.
Aye.
Commissioner Leachman. Commissioner Weisar.
Aye.
Nomination passes. You have a vice chair now.
Congratulations, Vice Chair.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for working through that.
gonna
Now that
learn
we're all
some more.
official again.
All right.
Is the person who's nominated able to vote for themselves? I mean, do we assume, what I'm asking about is a majority, because if only 4 of us voted, we don't have a majority. But if the person can vote for themselves as well, then we do have a majority.
I believe so, because I haven't seen it in any of the other boards where somebody loses the right to vote, even if they're being voted on, because they're still able to take action under that. If I'm wrong, we will fix this.
I was just worried because there's so few of us here. And when they did the roll call, each time they only named 4 people. So it's like, ooh, that's not a majority of 9. Can we even elect them with, But I'm assuming they can vote for themselves.
I think they can, but I'm not Steve Rivers, so I'm currently standing in.
Still learning like the rest of us.
Yes.
So there you go.
But we will, I think the important thing is we made business tonight. If for some reason there is an issue with that, we would just take it up at the next meeting.
Right.
But thank you for pointing that out. I don't think it's an issue, but it has been noted.
We'll hope not.
Okay.
Or you have an interjection from our tech crew. Tech crew requests that you speak into your mic as directly as possible, please.
I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
We're humidity in my face. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Community Relations Supervisor position update.
Yes. So the position, I decided to keep it open even though we've taken the first round of candidates in. So we had 28 applications come in, and from those, I have narrowed it down to the first 5 that I would like to put through our interview process. And we'll be doing video or phone interviews, ideally like Skype style. I prefer, particularly in my management team, to do 2 levels of interviews. And whatever we narrow it down to, top 2, ideally, maybe even 3, we would then do in-person interviews. I'm pleased. You know, this is kind of a unique job. Before we put the job out, I slightly rewrote it a little bit. I think the duties of this position and this division to handle social justice as a whole are really important, but I think the job description was very, just very, to be honest, I could tell where it had once been one thing and then became another and kind of sandwiched this way together. Yeah. And my experience as a planner, and particularly as a long-range planner, is kind of looking at that big picture, and we really have a new kind of defined specialty in planning called social justice, and it does a good way of encompassing all the things that we're really trying to do in this division. So rather than just talking about, you know, ADA or just talking about fair housing, we need to talk about all housing, all access, you know, all this much bigger component, and really bringing it into the different pieces that are happening in the rest of the department, so that I always kind of found if you really want to have an impact with social justice, it needs to be applied all the time in everything, not just in these specialty situations. And so when we put the job out, I wanted to make sure that we found somebody who understood the big picture and would understand how to make kind of the social justice mission of the division applicable in everything the department did, but also in the rest of the city. So looking for somebody with those experiences, also looking for somebody who is a good communicator, somebody who's got experience dealing with outreach, program development, project management, and ideally somebody who has some government experience. It is, you know, they have a master's of public administration for a reason. It's the business of running government. So, you know, how some of those things would be really nice skills to pick up in somebody. But that's kind of a big basket of asks. So, but I was pleased. I think we have 5 really great candidates at this point, but I did choose to take them in rounds and not completely close the job. You just never know. We have a very low unemployment rate at this moment in countrywide. So, you know, if somebody's really truly looking, you know, we have 5 lined up to interview, but I could get a call tomorrow and 2 of them already have jobs. So I just like to kind of keep that open. We didn't aggressively advertise again yet. It's just open on the website, but I was really aggressive in advertising. It advertised in all the planning chapters for surrounding states on their websites. It advertised in the Municipal Leagues magazine, on their website, on our website, on Planning APA's national page. It also was on, we also send it through the HUD Region 7 mailing list. I also shared it with several housing groups that I'm a part of. Yeah.
So you got candidates from all over, they're pretty much coming from
primarily
all
in the
over.
Midwest.
Okay.
So they're not all local then?
No.
Okay.
A couple of them are from Kansas or nearby states.
Sounds like they can cover the job, though.
Sounds promising, so.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I think these 2 are like tired of me running back and forth, so they're ready for some more backup downstairs. And
Need a new
you know,
Steve.
we've had an exciting couple of months. We went to the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation, their state housing conference. It was a lot of amazing information, and I think there's some positive things that we can start to implement, but we just need some manpower or woman power. So we're just anxious to get somebody else in that seat just to kind of help push us along a little bit.
All right. Okay. Next, we'll get an update on the employment law seminar. Commissioner Weiser?
Yeah, I was not actually here for the last meeting, so I'll pass it over to Commissioner Cadle with the update.
So we don't have a whole lot more to update, other than I was actually just talking to Julio earlier, and I wanted to sit down with Amanda about putting together the videos, doing the video seminar that we would have videos available. We just need to, maybe you and I just sit down sometime and knock out who we would want to see, come in and explain, and that way we could have videos pertaining to employees about their rights, and it'd be something that they could access from here on out. And then we could update, we could even have a session of frequently asked questions, things like that. But then we wouldn't have to worry about finding a venue and doing all that. We could maybe work with Access TV and promote those, and then they can air them, and then also have them available on our website at all times for, any kind of questions. But I think we discussed that on the last meeting a little bit, went over that, and me and Amanda just need to sit down and hash it out and get started on it, and hopefully it'll start flowing together.
Next, we'll move to the customer assistance table.
Yes, for the month of September, we had 79 either phone calls, walk-ins, interpretations, translations. So pretty much on par with where we normally are. And I think, without Steve being in the office, that's one less person down there. So I think our team's really doing a lot of work still trying to assist people and managing to kind of be in all those different places, even one person down.
Have you guys noticed a difference in the types of assistance or the types of questions that come in? Or is it all still pretty much the same questions, same issues that people have?
I think it just comes in waves. It's interesting how we might not hear about assistance animals for a while, but then we'll get one call, and then all of a sudden, all day, that's all we hear about. It's like they kind of know, like that's the topic of the day, or disability, or familial status. Like it just kind of depends. It just kind of comes in these waves, and we'll see them kind of go up and down. And they all kind of come in clumps, and so not necessarily differences, but just kind of waves of different things that come in.
Okay, so you haven't noticed anything that we maybe need to do more educating out in the public, or anything that you seem to have more questions on that we could maybe educate more on then?
I think we can definitely always educate more. It still surprised me how many people don't necessarily know that there is a Kansas Residential Landlord Tenant Act out there, that there is a Fair Housing Act out there that gives them rights. And so I feel like we can always, I love education, so I feel like you can always keep on educating, and things change, or maybe people forget, about it. So even just telling them one time, sometimes they need 2-3 times of kind of hearing the same thing over and over again. And so even if we've already kind of hit a certain demographic, I feel like it's best to keep on, engaging them so that they don't forget, or that they kind of just remember, oh yeah, we have this, or this is kind of how that works. We have been to a couple different outreach opportunities that we've had. We went out, or I was able to go out to K-State, KDub, and Salina Tech to kind of do booths there and talk to the students there. And so we've just did an activity with DVAC as another booth outreach. We did an activity with the NAACP this month. And then we're going to be participating in Salina South High is doing a resource fair this year, tagged along to their
Their parent-teacher
conferences. And so they've reached out to us, and we're going to have a table there too. And so really
It's a good place.
I feel like at this point, anybody that's wanting us to go out, anybody can benefit from. And kind of people come up to me and say, well, I don't know if I can benefit from that. But do you know somebody, that might be able to benefit from that? They're like, oh yeah, I'll take a flyer. I can give this to my neighbor, or to a friend, or, somebody I work with. And so that's definitely helping to spread out.
We've definitely branched out in that in 2018 as far as like the different age groups and the different just environments that we're taking this information to. We're getting really creative with, who we're reaching out to with this information, like the students. I would say we definitely had that increase this year with just the landlord-tenant information, because I know like last year the pattern seemed to be more diversity education, which is great, and it's part of the mission as well. But I've just noticed that pattern that even though, yeah, we are seeing the continued need for it, but I think we're definitely getting more creative and just trying to get out there more. So.
Well, and also them working more in with the department. So building services a lot of times is for people's first point of contact for ADA compliance. So Gilda's been helping us and trying to kind of break down like better ADA compliance information up front for kind of the not our mainstream builders, but there are certain people that kind of come to these projects and they maybe do 1 or 2 a year of just trying to kind of educate them. Hopefully that one flyer maybe stays on their truck seat or in the glove box and they come around to it, but at least trying to kind of hit them multiple points. And also we have a campaign out right now for gas shut off. Like if there are people out there who shut their gas off, and if it's off for more than 4 months at a time, like we can't give you any permits or anything like that. You actually have to go to the gas company to get that turned back on. And this usually becomes a major issue, and rather than having that happen in the winter, we're trying to get people knowledgeable about that right now. So,
Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Always. Good plan. Cross our fingers.
yes,
That it works.
I'm not so worried about us.
I'm not saying everybody's going to listen
Yeah.
and learn, but it's a good plan.
Okay, we'll move to the case docket log.
And currently, we have just had a case close. This is one that was very involved and took a lot of research, but we got to a critical place in the case and reached out to the complainant, and they quit communicating with us. They had been involved in the process, but for whatever reason, and so we were just, I think, did the timeline end?
It ends, she has until the 11th of this month to communicate with us. I'm sorry?
Yeah, so.
I thought you had a question. Yes, we were waiting on it to come back as either delivered or undeliverable from the post office. And so we are tracking dates, and she had 10 business days upon receiving it at her current address, which was part of what took a while for the post office to track down.
She's really had 2 goes at this, because this is not the first certified mail we sent, but I just want to be extra careful. But we sent one. They tried to even deliver it to her. We got lead that she may be at a different address, so we're trying this again.
Above and beyond.
We're just going to try. So I if something happens and she miraculously appears, we may be back down this road. I don't want to not afford somebody that, if that's a real issue, but you have to stay in communication with us. And one of the things that has come out of this, though, is Gilda's going to try her hand at writing some legislation. And this needs to be in code, that it's really clear on the housing side, but it's not clear on the employment side, that there has to be this kind of, there's a consequence for not participating in the process. And I don't, something that's critical in a process like that really needs to be clear and transparent in code. Whether it's a good practice or makes sense, that's fine, or it's something we've done in the past, but there's no reason that shouldn't be in code. So we would add that, and it would just mirror some of the other sections like on housing.
Makes sense. Keep them in the process rather than, wasting your time, so to speak. I mean,
Yeah,
in the end, it kind of does waste your time if they stop communicating with you and you just kind of have to leave it in limbo, so.
I try to believe it's not a waste of time, that those parties involved may have learned a few things or become more aware of.
Because you've been in contact with the employer also, haven't you? So they've been through the process up to date with you and everything. So.
So at least, I guess, if out of anything you've gotten that they'll know next time what not to do or what.
we
how
don't
to
even know if
handle
they
things.
did anything,
Yeah.
but we're hoping just awareness, right? I mean, sometimes even just being involved with something like this, it starts to occur to people what this really means and how it affects their daily business. And I'm hoping, even if it didn't go that all the way, that that person who made the complaint at least felt that they were heard, and if they walked off for whatever reason, they at least have an opportunity to air that.
Yeah, and at least hopefully they felt satisfied with what they were hoping to get then. And
Yeah.
okay. Next would be public forum, and we don't have any of the public here. Can we get an update on search for more commissioners? Or do we need to put that on agenda
No,
to
but
talk
I
about
could
next week?
Find
next
out
month?
for you. Do you, I guess,
So I can kind of answer that. So this kind of new wave around, they reinstated Commissioner Holpers and Commissioner Leachman. They were the only new applications that we had received. We did have a potential new youth on board. And then she reached out to me and let me know that she no longer lives in town. And so she, obviously she wasn't going to be able to continue to participate as a new youth on board. And so it's out there. If you go to the City of Salina webpage under boards and commissions, it'll say that this is potentially a board for, I believe, 11. And so that there's still, X amount of openings available, and people all year can continue to apply. And, if we have space, even if they don't have to necessarily wait until September to be appointed. They can, continuously be appointed throughout the year. So if you guys know anybody, that would be a good fit or a good candidate, I know people kind of ask me, here and there, and it works. I was on Leadership Salina. Hilda and I were on Leadership Salina with Commissioner Weishauer, and she graciously applied, and, and now she's, a part of us. And so just kind of that word of mouth also helps. And then you have that experience, so you can kind of let people know, well, this is kind of how, this is a time commitment. This is, kind of how I felt, throughout the process. And
What's the age on the youth on board?
I believe, is it 21?
The
I think it's like 22, isn't it?
The cutoff, I think it is actually
Well, I mean,
20,
The lowest, I guess,
The
the
lowest-
youngest you can be.
16 or 17.
16? Okay.
Yeah. And they, even if they end up being college students or so, they're considered a youth on board until age 20, and then at 21 they transition to adult if they, I believe there may be a little bit of a reapplication process at that point, but.
So are we just needing one youth on board, or do we need two? Just one?
I think each board's supposed to have one, and then we run like a youth on board orientation, ideally when we kind of have them in groups, but I mean, if we foresaw that it was going to be a while before we had one, we could do one for just one. And then this September, is there anybody who's new to the board? I think everybody's been on this a while. So our department runs 7 boards and commissions. So any new board members, we're going to do our own department orientation for like a luncheon kind of thing, just to help get people up to speed and understand things. And if I'm sure many of you were like, oh, I got thrown on this committee and I had no idea. So we're trying to kind of eliminate some of that and offer some more resources to our board members, because the job you do is really important.
Okay. Do we have any other business? Any other announcements? Okay, well then I move to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we're adjourned till next month.